a webinar on creating a Google site. So I did not make a slide deck for you for this one. This is totally going to be a let's listen and you can follow along and practice, and we can kind of build it together. I'm going to leave it up to you if you want to just watch or if you want to watch and do. You know your comfort zone, you know your ability to toggle and your comfort on creating as we go. So welcome everyone. Let me just do attendance one more time here so I make sure I gather everybody. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over it. I'll show you how to get on a Google Sites and how to use it. You are welcome to keep your video on. It's a small group, so it's not a big deal, but you can shut it off if you'd like. Mute your microphone except when you have a question. Please go ahead and shout out your question and ask or drop it in the chat. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. All right, now I'm presenting. All right, so in order to get to your Google Sites, you have several different ways you can do it. It's usually in your waffle under Sites, or if you click on Drive and you go out through Drive, it's also in your waffle there, and it's under New for the areas here. You have Google Sites in there. Okay, so I'm going to go out to Google Sites, and when you first go out here, Google still takes you to the old Google Sites area. So you're going to have to kind of ignore this page. Don't try to create on this page. And I wish they would get rid of it. We've had Google Sites for, a year and a half, 2 years now. There's no reason for it to still be there, but they haven't phased it out yet. So what you want to do is under where it says create, you want to go down to where it says new Google Sites. And that's where you're going to build. You can't create anymore. If you hit this, you're going to get an error message. It's not going to work anyway. So click down on new Google Sites. When you do that, if you don't have any sites yet, it'll be completely blank. I use mine a lot. So you're going to see I have a lot of them in here. But in your new Google Sites, you have the ability to use a template, and you have the ability to start fresh. And the templates are fairly new. They've only come out in the past few months. So when I hover in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, I can either create a new site or I can use a template. All of your recent sites are on the page, just like you have in Docs or in Slides. You can organize it to be more a list view. So if you're used to the way Microsoft did it and this makes sense to you, you go for it. You can do it that way. I prefer grid view, so I see the picture. It reminds me, which site it was. I'm much more of a visual learner if you want to look at it that way. You can sort it A to Z, last modified by title, however you'd like to organize it. You also have a file option here that you can kind of organize a little bit with, but it doesn't put it in folders like Drive does. It's still just like how you do it in Docs and in Slides. All right. You can also sort it by owned by anyone, owned by me, not owned by me, that sort of thing. So you can choose how you want it to look or how you're finding your different websites. But we're going to create a brand new one. I'm going to show you from scratch. You can build one together. So if you want to toggle between or split your screen and follow along and build, you're welcome to. If you just want to watch, that's fine too. I'm just going to make sure no one's having trouble getting in. Nope. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to click the plus at the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, and it's going to load a brand new Google site for me. When it does, I'm going to have this blank page, and it just kind of gets it started for you. So it's going to say, do you want a template? No, you're good. Let's just talk about what we see on the screen. The top left-hand corner, just like in Docs or in Slides or in Forms, this is where you go back home to your sites, where all of your Google sites are housed. You can title your site just like you normally would in anything else. You can enter a site name, and you have your title. And we're going to go through each of these individually, but I just want to show you what you see. At the top of your screen, it saves automatically, so you don't have to hit save every time you do an update, but you do need to republish every time you update, and I'll show you that. They still have an undo and a redo button. Once you have created some content, you can preview your website. You grab your link from your website as the next one. You can add collaborators, and I'm going to go through that a little bit more specific once we add some content. And in your settings, there's some different things you can do with how it looks, and I'll walk you through that. You have the 3 dots, as always, that's going to give you your version history. So let's say you created it and then you changed something and you want to go back. You can go back to a different version. You can also duplicate the site. So let's say you use it this year and next year you want to duplicate it so you don't change that site but create a new one. You can do that. You can also take a tour that'll walk you through how Google Sites works. The publish button will go live once you've started to add content. So I'll show you that in a little bit. Below that, you have the insert button. The insert is where you're going to put content onto your pages. So you can see you can put text boxes, images, links, anything from your Google Drive. Your layouts are for pictures and content, and then you have all different categories below that to add content. We'll go through some of those. The next one over is pages. This is where you add multiple pages to your website. So think of it just like when you go into a regular website, you have navigation, and we're going to talk about that. And then the far right one are your themes. Now, Google keeps this pretty stripped down. You only have, 6 different themes to choose from. And you can kind of toggle between them and choose which one that you like. And sometimes you start with one and you can always change it based on what you decide you want. You can also change the color on how it kind of looks and the tint that it gives. And I'll show you how different ones of those look. So let's call this one actual Google Sites. We're going to just start with that. So all I did was type in the box and gave it a title. When I started typing, a box appeared above it where I can change it to title, normal text. I can put it heading, subheading, small type. I can make it bold. So if I highlight this, I can make it bold. I can make it italic. I can choose how it's centered. I can add in a link. I can clear all the formatting. I can delete it out. All right. So I always have those options in there. In the background, it always gives you a generic type of background. So, and you can change that. First, I want to give this a name. So I'm going to call this one Google Sites as my name. And then when I do that there, it will also name the actual Google site up at the top so that way I can find it again. So let's talk about the images. On the actual Google site at the top here, you can have different ways that you can add in what you'd like. So you can upload from your desktop. So if you have something that you'd like that you want to use, so here's just a plain background, you can add in something there. It always adjusts for readability, so it'll darken or lighten. You can shut this off, so that one made it a little brighter. I can shut it off by clicking those stars in the bottom left-hand corner of it, or the bottom right-hand corner, sorry, which I wish Google Classroom had because that always darkens your banners too. But if I shut it off, it's going to go back to the original. If I turn it on, it's going to adjust it to be a little bit brighter. And then I can also, if I click change images, if I don't have something that I want to use that's already on my desktop, I can click select image. From here, it gives you a gallery of ideas, and there's just some basic ones here. But just like you have in Google Classroom, you can pick one of those. You can do it by a link. So if you have a website link that you want to use or an image link you want to use, you can drop it in there. It has a search function built in both for Google and live photos. So let's say you're doing a historical website, you could use live photos and put in, something that happened historically, or you can do a full Google search and use Google. Anything that you grab from here, you'll notice underneath says results shown are labeled for commercial reuse with modification. That means they're safe for you to use without having to worry about citing your source. So they kind of help you out there to make sure that they're okay for you to use. So if I typed in for Google Sites, I might say, website wallpaper or something crazy like that. And then it's going to show me different ones that it kind of suggests based on what it thinks I might want. If I like one of these, let's say I like this one, I click on it, I hit select, and then that becomes my background. So if I don't like it, I change it. This one looks a little odd, I think, with that one there. So I can reset it back to the beginning if I want, or I can click select image and pick a different one. So I'm going to put in wallpaper again. It's going to come up with different ones, and I can pick whatever one I want. Maybe I want the stars. All right, so let's say I like that one. That's one I want to go with. When I click on change image again under select image, just to show you what else you had here, you have your album. So if you have images you want to pull in, you can certainly pull those images in. And then you can also go out to your Google Drive and pull any images you happen to have in here. So if I type in digital, let's say, I might have something that I want to use that's an image, and I can grab any of these images and pull it in. Okay, so that's your header. You can also change your header type. So you can put it as a full cover. So if you were doing something and you wanted a larger image, so you could put a lot more information on here, you can certainly do that. You can do it as a large banner. You can do a narrow banner, and you can even just get rid of it. So that's totally up to you how you want to add that in, how you want to change that up. Okay. Let's say I love that and I want to go with that, but I don't like the font. Over where I have the simple, I'm still in themes. I can change the font. They usually give you 2 to 3 depending on each of the different types. So you can see as I'm changing this up, I can change the way it looks. And I can choose which one I like best. And you'll see that it changes the look based on what one you go with. And then you can change the color to be anything you like. So you can have a class color or whatever it happens to be. You really can click on the paint can and pick any color that's available, on the rainbow. So you can do anything there. Okay. So let's say I like that. I'm happy with that one. So let's talk about adding content. I'm going to click back over on insert. So I was in themes. I'm going back to insert, and I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to show you what each of these does. So when I click on text box, it's going to put a box right on the page. I can click and change it to title, heading, subheading, small. I'm going to put this as a subheading, and I'm going to say, Google Sites. And then underneath it, as soon as I do that, you'll see that it changes to normal text. I can then say, Google Sites is a great place to create a website and share student work, or whatever you want to type. So you can type as long as you want. You can copy and paste from a Google Doc, however you'd like to put anything in there. You can change this also to be bold or italics. You can change whether it's centered or not. You can make it into a bulleted list or numbered list. You can link it. In the 3 dots, you can get where you can actually code it, which is much higher level. I don't even do that. And then the strike through. So you always have options there. Within this box, when I hover and I go over it on the left-hand side, you're going to see that it has a section background one. Whatever color I chose as my other color, I can change that as my background color. I can always change it to like a gray, or I can put it back on the regular, which on some of them, you're going to see more of a contrast where it goes more white with the gray background and so on. So you can change it to look any way you'd like. You can even also upload an image or select an image to put as your background. So if I went to image, and let's say I wanted this one here, I can click on that and I can change that to be my background. All right. Just making sure there's no questions too while I'm here. Hello. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just put this as an emphasis background. Okay. So I've added in a text box. You can add in text box any way you'd like. I can also change the shape of it. So I can make it so it narrows in, and then I can put something next to it. So let's say I wanted to add an image next to it. I can hit upload, and I can pick a picture. I'm going to just grab, because I don't really have anything for Google Sites. So I can grab a picture. Let's say I drag it and I want to put it next to. I can click and drag the picture out. And this is where you start to design your site based on whatever it is you're looking to do. So I'm just grabbing an image to throw in there. You can also select an image again from Google image search. So from here, I can type in Google maybe and grab one of their Google signs. And I can throw that either under, over, around, wherever I want it to go. You can see that I can add it anywhere that I'd like. All right, so you can choose to do that kind of thing. I can also pull in anything from my Google Drive. So I'm going to click on my drive. And it's going to pull in my full drive here. I have my drive, drives, shared with me, recent, starred, however I want to organize it. I can grab and pull in different things. I'm just grabbing recent to see what I have in here. All right, so let's say we're talking Seesaw. Let's say this one was on Seesaw and I wanted this Google Doc in here. If I click and hit click to like highlight it, and then I click insert, it's going to insert that Google Doc for me right inside here. And it's just taking a moment to load. I can drag it to make it larger. So I can pull it so it's the whole page if I want. You can choose how you want to set it up on there. It takes a little clicking and dragging. It's not perfect to get it on there. But what it does when you put in Google Docs or slides into your slide deck or into your Google site, what it does is it creates it as a live document. So that way, if I go into the preview mode, if I change something on this Google Doc, it's going to happen immediately. So, and it's just there it goes. So you can see that I was able to put the whole document in. I gave it lots of space. If I change something on this document, it will change automatically on here. Okay, so that's one thing that you can add in. I can also add in a slide deck. So if I go in here and I click the search, so I just clicked, I said here, but I'm back in Google Drive. I click the little magnifying glass, and I'm going to put in file type, and I'm going to say presentations. So as soon as I do that, it's going to pull up all of my Google slide decks, and I want to show you the ways that that goes in as well. So let's say I'm doing one on Google Slides. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to click Insert. It kind of decides where it goes on the screen, but you can certainly move it around. So I can grab it and put it underneath the icons. I can do whatever I'd like with it. I can drag it out, make it bigger. So I can do whatever works for me and how I want it organized. Once I have the Google slide deck in, I can go over to the settings, which is the little floaty box that goes right above it. When I click on that settings, I can choose to auto start. I can have it loop the playback. I can have the delay be every couple seconds. I can decide what slide it starts at. And when I click done, and you'll see that it's going through that slide deck, every 2 seconds, it's changing the slide based on how I set it up. If you put animations in, the animations are going to work. So if you were creating like a slideshow of like images of your students for the end of the year or something like that, you can embed it and you can have it go so it becomes this slideshow that moves. So it continues to go through as they're looking at your Google site. The other nice thing about embedding your slideshows is that when I put it into preview mode, so I'm just going to click to go back in there. When I click back in here, they can still choose to go to a different slide. So if they wanted to see one slide in particular, they can still click to it and look at that. So it's still going to give them that functionality to be able to look at that Google slide. And kind of stop that slideshow function if they need to get to anything. All of the links are live, so they can still click within that Google slide deck. And then they're going to have this little box and arrow in the top right-hand corner that can have them open it in a new page if they want to take a look at it a little bit more in depth. So we've added in images, we've added in a doc and something from slides. You can also embed. So let's say you wanted your students to read an article on Wonderopolis. So I'm just going to go out to that website. I always put .com, but it's .org. So here's the wonder of the day: how kooky are cuckoo clocks? So the students can read this. They can look at this article, maybe do the activities, whatever you normally would have them do with it. I'm going to click to copy this link. So I just hit Command-C on my Mac. On your Chromebooks, it's Control-C. I come back into the Google site, I click embed, and I'm going to paste that in. So Control-V or Command-V, depending what you're on. And it's going to give you 2 choices. And they don't always come up with 2 choices. I use Wonderopolis because it does. And I want to talk about the differences on how you embed a web page on your Google site. On the left is a whole page dynamic website. So it keeps your students housed in your Google site, but they have full navigation within that website. So if there's a link, it will take them out. But at this point, at least it keeps them a little bit more locked in. If you put it in as a preview, think of it like a button that automatically takes them out of your website. So up to you how you want the students to explore and use, and I'll show you how each of them works because I'm going to put it in twice. So I'm going to click Insert, and there's my web page, and I'm just going to shrink it down so I can put the other one next to it. I'm going to hit Embed again, put that same link in, but I'm going to show you the preview pane. So this one didn't show an image. Sometimes it will have a picture, but here, as I scroll through, if I go into the preview mode again, when I go down to this website, when I'm here on the website, you'll see that I'm able to move the pages. I can read the article right on here. It's live, it's working for me within this website. If I click the 3 dots, I can go out of that page and look at other wonders and kind of go through and review that site, but it keeps me housed within the Google site. If I click on the link where it says how kooky are cuckoo clocks, it opens it up in a new tab for me. Totally up to you how you want to embed those in. Okay, so we talked about the 4 items up here. I'm going to go to a new page just to kind of show you the pages function, and then I'll add some more things in so this doesn't get too clunky on one page. So I'm adding a page in. What I did is I clicked on the Pages tab. I have my home page. I can click on New Page, and I can add in a new page, and maybe I'll call this one Resources. All right, and I click Done. As soon as I do that, that page shows up. I'm already on the page. At the top, I have the navigation to go from Home and Resources. Let's say from Resources, I want a sub page. I can click the three dots next to Resources. I can add a sub page, and I can put in important links or whatever it happens to be, and click Done. So now I have my home, I have my resources, and under resources, I have important links. All right, so I have options here. I'm going to go back into Insert, and I'm on my resources page, and I want to show you some of the different things that you can do. So Google has made these 6 different layouts that you can add. So I'm just going to grab one to show you what it looks like. This is just for text and images. So right here under the plus, when I click on it, I can upload an image, grab from my drive. I can grab a YouTube video. I can embed my calendar or a map. So I'm going to grab the calendar function. It's going to ask me which calendar I want to embed. So all of my Google calendars are here. So if you're using this as a website that's attached to your Google Classroom, I can grab any of my classrooms, or I can pull in my actual calendar. And I'm going to click Insert. The calendar, when you first put it in, always comes in as agenda. But if you go into the little gear icon, you can change that agenda to be week view, month view, whatever you'd like it to be. And you click Done, and then that one becomes how you have it set. I can say Lori's calendar, and then, you know, please schedule time with me. Here is my booking page. And then I can put in a link. So I got to grab that link so I can do it. I have that on my email. So I'm just copying that and pasting that in. I'm going to highlight it, hit link. Okay. So let me show you what it looks like in preview mode again. So for your people that are looking at it, they're going to see this calendar. They're going to see the title. They're going to see the information. And when they click this link, it's going to take them right to my booking page. Okay. So you can embed in lots of different things within these layouts. Below that, below the layouts, I don't ever use collapsible text. I'm assuming it just, if you have a lot of information on the page, it will collapse it down. The table of contents is really basic. It just literally takes whatever you've put in as a heading and writes them again at the top. So it's not very creative and fancy looking, but it's there for you. The image carousel, what that does is it allows you to create a slideshow of pictures. So if I click Add Image and I pick Upload, and I go to, let's say, my photos, and I have no idea what I have on here. I got all sorts of things. Here we go. It's probably not going to let me do that one because it's not a JPEG. Yeah, it doesn't like that one. All right, let me do select image from Google search. So I'm going to do oceans because he doesn't want to be at the ocean. I'm going to grab a picture. Oh, it did put that in. Look at that. I didn't think it would. That's the coast of Ireland. We were on the Cliffs of Moher. I didn't think it would grab that one. Here, I'll let me do that. Cliffs of Moher. Okay. So the day we went, it was sunny and beautiful. Here's a day that it was not. All right. So let's say I have these slides and I'm happy and I want these 3 in there. When I click Insert, I have options. So I'm going to make this big because they're pictures, right? You want people to be able to see them kind of large. Under the setting gear, I can edit the carousel where you see I have the different pictures. I can rearrange the order. Let's say I don't want this one because it doesn't have to do with the Cliffs of Moher. I can take that picture out. I'm going to stick with Cliffs of Moher. Why not? Put in another one. Sure, take the castle. Okay. When you're on here, you have this settings gear up in the top right-hand corner of the carousel. You can choose whether you show the dots so that people that are looking at it know which picture it's on. You can add captions to each of them so you can title what the place is, what they're looking at. Maybe if you're doing Cliffs of Moher, maybe you're talking about layers of types of rock, or you're talking about, you know, historical data, whatever it happens to be. And you can even auto start it so that it will just rotate through. You can choose whether it goes slow or fast. Let's do it fast so you can see what that looks like. And then when I put it back into preview mode, and I come down, you'll see that it's going through the pictures pretty fast. But you get the idea. So you can do that as a slideshow as well without doing it in Google Sites or Google Slides. All right. So I'm going to change that setting to be slower so it doesn't drive you crazy as we're going through here. Okay. So that is the carousel. Underneath that, you'll see that you can also put in buttons. So let's say I wanted to, put in that booking link that I had. I can decide to put in as a button instead of just a link. So if I click insert, it creates a little button that I can put right here, or I can move it. So I have to double click it to move it different places. I can put it underneath wherever I'd like to put it. I can move that button. I still have the access to make it smaller or bigger. My choice how I want to do that. Okay. And you kind of have to play with it. So the reason it's doing that is because I attached it underneath. If I don't attach it underneath that section, I can choose it to be smaller and bigger because it's not linked. It just links when you put them underneath, and you kind of have to edit within. You can also change the button to be from filled to outlined or just text. And if you have just the text, they still have to click it. So you might want to have something around it so they know that it's a box or a button to push. All right, so you can do that there. I don't like the way that looks. Let's just bring that out. Okay. Dividers are exactly what you think they are. They're a line that gets put in there to kind of help you out. You still, on each section, have the same menu that I showed you on that first page. So I can change the background to have more of an emphasis, or that bold color that I put, or I can even put an image in, whatever I'd like. I can still do that in sections. I can add in a placeholder just to kind of remind myself that I want to put something here, and it's going to give you that same menu again on what you want to add in. If you want to delete out a section, you can always hit the delete button. You can always add in YouTube videos. So this is a very, I should have picked a category. I said Google Sites and then I went off on other stuff. But let's say I was doing Cliffs of Moher. I'm sure there's a video on there. So here we go. Drone footage of the Cliffs of Moher. That sounds cool. I click select and that video goes right in. I can drag it out to make it larger, whatever I'd like to do. Again, under settings, you have a few resources available to you, like allowing it to go full screen, or if you want to keep it embedded smaller on the site. You can insert your calendar just from here instead of using a layout. You can add in a map, a Google Doc, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and Forms built right into your pages. All right, I've been talking at you for a half an hour. So let's see what questions you have. Does the site look the same on different devices? As of now, I don't think it works on your iPads for creating, but your students can certainly look at the pages after the fact to kind of, to actually use the website. It would function just like a regular website. They would use it as a link, but you'd want to build these on your Chromebook or your Mac or whatever you happen to have on a different device. Good question. What other questions do you have? You can unmute and ask, or you can type them in the chat. I will tell you as I can see some of you typing, so I will tell you as you're putting your questions in that some districts have shut down Google Sites. So I would definitely check with your tech director to see if it's something that's available to you. Can these use? Yeah, absolutely. Laura asked, can these be used to create modules for remote learning? Yeah, you could create, I've seen some pretty intense Google Sites, and I'll show you some examples of mine so you can see like a pretty one versus the mishmash one I just made. But you can use that for modules easily. So I'll show you one. I'm going to go back into Google Sites, and I still have to show you publishing and that sort of thing on that. So we're not done, but I like the question. So here is one that I used. I'm going to grab this one. This is one that I use when I do my Google Certified Educator classes, and I'm going to put this into preview mode so you can see what it looks like from the participant side, or when I publish it and send it to people. So the title's there. I have the information. I have the agenda listed down the left. I even have an embedded spinner on it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open it up. So instead of doing it as the preview, so let me copy the link, paste it out here. Okay. That's easier for me. So now I have this spinner that I have built in, so you can actually, and I just use that from Flippity. So I embedded that from another website, so you can see that you can embed, and that's the difference of sometimes embedding a website where it's live within the site versus sending them out to a site. On the left-hand side, I did left navigation for the website instead of the top navigation that you saw on the site we were building together. So you can see all of those different things, both in the agenda and on the left. I can click to different spots. So if I wanted to go to Google Docs, I can go to that page by clicking on the left. Here's what a sample table of contents looks like, just so you can see it. That's all it does, is kind of put those links at the top. If I go back home and I click on any of these links, like if I go to Gmail, it's going to open up to my Gmail page. So you always can set this up to be, anything that you're looking for it to be. So yes, it could be modules. It could be each page is a different section or a different lesson or a different unit. And then what you can do is you can hide pages from navigation until you want them to go live. So let's say you're doing this for your entire social studies curriculum. You can have each unit go live as they need the different pages, and then hide them from navigation from your students when they're done with them. So it could be something you build all year long that they have access to with everything that they need. So you can certainly do that. And you can see I did different sections on each of the pages. When I go out to the Fun Google Sites one, you can see I put all of these in as buttons versus actual web pages. That one lost its connection. So you can see that these are buttons versus live pages on the website. So sometimes it makes sense to do one, sometimes it makes sense to do another. You can create boxes with different text boxes. You can, like I said, put in the different Google Slides. So you can organize it any way you'd like. So that's an example of one that I use for an entire, think of it like a module. I use it as an entire lesson. I'll show you another one once it loads. So I host those online classes. I know a lot of you have signed up for those. So here's one with Seesaw. So I created this website. This one I used a longer cover because I wanted it to be like you're kind of like entering a class. So it's kind of like your class syllabus with a cover page. And then each category walks you through the process. So here's the basics, and then what they have to do. And then as they go through this full page, it takes them through the whole lesson. So this is one full lesson that that you would complete to get the credit for taking the class. So you can do this as different lessons for your students, where all the information is on here, where they go through the slideshow. They answer some questions on a Nearpod, so I can gather some feedback from them, and then they actually go on to Seesaw and practice the activities. So that's an example of one. I'll show you another one. I'm doing this thing with a group of educators around the world where we're exploring the world of augmented reality. And so we have a team. So this would be like a student page, if you want to look at it that way. This one is one that a student would complete because we're the students learning this class. So you can see we did that slideshow where we have us as images within, we just used a website or an app called NASA Selfie, and you put your face on and you can put whatever you want in the background. So module 3 is the most recent, so we move that to the front. We have these slides that are built in to this web page with all the information for what we're doing with augmented reality. As you see, as you go through the different slides, different things happen on each page. We have a lot of things happening on each of the pages as they're going through. We created a choice board. All of these links would work within what they're building. For the prior modules for this class, I have a module here. Once it loads, that has our module 2. And again, you can see the slide deck as I go through. It's still loading here. So the different slide deck will it'll go through that slide deck depending on however we set it up. We created some other slides and some samples and talked about the potential for augmented reality. So you can see that students can add in their information, and then we have to show all of the augmented reality apps that we've explored. So we have that under the augmented reality page. So this would be one that a student could create with their work. So it becomes a portfolio where each page can then just be added on as they're going through and they're learning different things. Again, I put this in, all of these in as buttons that take you out to a website versus putting them in so they're live websites within the page. All right, so those are a few examples. Let me get out of this one of ways you can use it. Another way, and I don't know if I have one here, I'll have to look. A lot of people have been using them for creating digital breakouts where they actually put the link to the digital breakout on the website. So I was looking to see if I had one still. I don't think I do anymore. But you can do that where you can add in a Google form and then the students can build right within there. Yeah, I don't see it anymore, but you can certainly do that. Let me just type in breakout and see if anything comes up. Oh, maybe it's on this slide deck. Maybe I can grab it that way. Just give me a moment here. Yeah, I don't see it. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't want to waste your time on that, but you can certainly set them up that way. And I know that there's plenty out there. If you go to the digital breakout site, you'll see plenty of them out there. Yeah, elementary. Yeah, I can show a couple of those. I'll show some. These are my examples. So, but I would just Google it to find some other examples. I'll show you how to hide. Did I close out of my sites? I think I did. So if you're on Twitter, you can find that people are posting their Google sites pretty often on there. So you can certainly take a look there. So let's go to that one that I was doing, this crazy site that I created. Let me show you how to hide pages. When you create your website, if you go over to the Pages tab, next to each of the pages, you have these 3 dots. Let's say this important links one, I wanted to hide for now because I don't want to give students that information yet. If I click the 3 dots, I can hide that from navigation. You'll see a line go through it, and that way when it goes live, teacher or students or whoever can't see that page. Let me go over how to share it and how to publish too while I'm here. Under the share with others at the top, when you first click on it, you're going to see that they're going to say the links vary. You need to change this if you want it to be restricted or if you want it to be public. So right now I have it that it's anyone in BOCES can see it once I publish it. If this is for just your students, that's fine. You can keep it locked to your domain. But if you want this to be accessed by other teachers or other students that are outside of your domain, you're going to want to change it to public. And public puts it that it's searchable on the web. And obviously it's not going to be the first thing that's searched. It's good, it has to have a lot of popularity for that to happen on Google. But just know that when you put it public, that it is searchable. And then I can choose the draft to be anyone with the link, or restricted. I'm going to keep that right there, but I'm going to publish the site as public. When I do that and I click on the set, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go to the 3 dots. No, I don't. I want to go back into the people. They changed the way it looks, so it's in a different spot. All right, here we go. So I'm in this settings here, and I have it that it's when I publish it, anyone can find and open. They're going to be viewers of it. But let's say I wanted to share this. So let's say I wanted to share it with Gloria. When I type her name in there, right now it shows her as editor. So you can make these collaborative. So if this was you're doing this as group work, you can have a group of students that are creating this together. They can be an editor or they can just be a viewer. You choose how they can see it. You can choose to notify them. You can choose to give them a message. The other thing is, if I put it back in editor, there's a little button in the top right-hand corner that says share with people settings. They've moved this. This isn't where it used to be, but it just went live recently to put it there. You can uncheck this box so that other editors can't change some of the things that you're allowing them to have. So let's say I share with Gloria, but I don't want Gloria to share it with anybody else. I can uncheck that box, and that's in there. All right, so I'm going to take her out because she doesn't really need this. The last thing you're going to do is when you're said and done, you're going to click publish. When you publish this website, it asks you what you want to call it. So I'm going to call this Google Sites. And it's going to tell me, nope, you need to put, for this one says forbidden words or reserved words. So my guess you're not allowed to use the word Google. So I put in sites, it's telling me that one works. If I put in something that I already had, like I think I have one called Digsit, or maybe that one's too short. You can see like it goes through as you're going through and changes it. So if I put in sample, it's going to tell me no, probably too. No, it likes that one. Okay. So once I like what I've chosen it to be, I can choose again from here who can view it. I can also request that public search engines don't display it. So even though you might make it public, you can lock it down a little bit more. So I can click on that and then I click publish. You can always unpublish. So if you publish it and you want to pull it back, you're always welcome to do that, because you'll notice as soon as I published, I got another down arrow that came down next to the publish. When I click on that, I can go into my settings. I can change, I can view it as a published site, and I can also unpublish it. So I always have options still to unpublish or change things. When I grab the link, now that that has gone live, this is the link you give people to view your site. If I'm on a different page, so I'm on the resources page and I grab the link, it's going to bring them to the page that says resources. So whatever link you grab on whatever page you're on is where it's going to send them. All right. So if you always want them to go to the home page, make sure that you're always on the home page before you grab that link. How do we share with our students at BOCES? They don't have email. So Janine, do you share stuff with them on Google Classroom?
I do. And then once you showed the link, then I had my answer.
Oh, okay.
Good. We said that now. That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and you can do this. I know Beth and I were talking before we got started about Seesaw. This could work really well in tandem with Seesaw, because you can give your students a full lesson on Google Sites with interactive slides or whatever you want them to do, and then you can have them go into Seesaw and do the activity. So in the, when you create activities in Seesaw, you can link in whatever resources you want. This would work really well in tandem there. Yeah, I wish I had a perfect example for you to show you social studies or, science, or a specific one for elementary. I don't have any of those. I was looking because, mine are more professional development, the ones that are mine. But I know people have put them out there. Like I said, I have a really good one that is a one that's all breakout, but I can't seem to grab it right now. But I was just trying to see if I had anything else I can show you. Yeah, and I've used them for different activities. Like I did a Tech Tools Playground workshop, which was like a half-day workshop. And what I did and is I created this Tech Tools Playground image on Adobe Spark. I still put the agenda, but I didn't link it to anywhere. And then from there at the top, we showed them all the different pages that they can go to that gave them resources based on that topic. So you can see I embedded a Google Doc. This is a PDF, and then the website for Seesaw, just to kind of show you how different ones can look. I have in some information that somebody had put that's like a, a Google Doc. Here's the website again, and then their activity library in Seesaw, a slide deck, some samples and of different slide decks, different things like that. So you can see different ways that you can set it up. You can do the top bar navigation, and I'll show you how to change that. So let me go back into that fake site. So when you're in the actual site, when you hover towards the top with your mouse, there's a little gear that comes up at the top left-hand corner. When you click on navigation, you can choose if you want top or side navigation. You can choose the color to be transparent so it keeps the same image, or I can make it a white bar to make it a little easier for students to see, or I can make it a black bar to make it easier for students to see, depending on the color contrast that you want. You can also, if you have logos you want to add in, you can add those in. You can choose whether or not students have access to some of the viewer tools. The analytics is a purchased one, so you wouldn't really use that. The announcement banner is great, though. If you're using this in the classroom, you can say, don't forget to turn in your textbooks, or whatever it happens to be. You can put that at the top, And I can choose that I want this to be on the home page. And as soon as I click away from it, you'll see that you get this top banner that gives some information. And then within this, again, you also can come back to those settings and change that. So let's say you put something every day, don't forget to smile today, or whatever it happens to be. You can change that every day by just clicking on it and putting a different banner up. And that's where your students will look first to gather some information at the top there. Other questions? Yeah, I would double check with, Laura, check with Jason for you, making sure that you can't create on the iPad. I know that, but I know, Laura, I know you personally, so you use a Mac. I know that. So create it on your Mac, you'll be fine. Your students should not have any issue with the Google Site access. That should be just a normal website you're sending out. If they say they can't get on, it could be that they're signed in on a different account than their school account if you lock it down to your school one. And then remember, any links you put on there, the same restrictions that are for anywhere else are going to be the restrictions that they have on that site. So if the YouTube video isn't whitelisted, obviously they still can't watch that YouTube through that Google site. So that's going to work the same there. Great questions. Any other questions? All right. Do you want to stay on and practice a little bit and I can stand and answer questions? Do you want me to show you anything else? I can stop presenting for a moment. How are we feeling? Yeah, there's a lot to Google Sites. Don't be afraid to click the buttons. That's my biggest takeaway. Sometimes I'll double click and a different menu comes up and it's really the same menu as on the right-hand side, but it pops up in a different spot. And I'm like, oh, what'd I do? But it's just click on it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, play with it. Create your first site. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Lori, can you just go over how to add colors for the different sections?
Yes.
I can't get it to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to present. If you want to keep practicing on your own, keep doing that. I'm going to stay on with you anyway. But let me go into this site. So let's say behind, let me just add a new text box. Let's do that. So I've added this text box. Here is a text box. I can then, within this one, change the color behind it. While I'm highlighted in here, I click the little paint palette on the left-hand side, and I can choose it to be an emphasis. I can change it to be that blue. I can put an image behind it by either uploading an image from, this is one I used recently, right? So I can upload that image from my desktop, or I can select an image from the internet or from my Google Drive, whatever I'd like it to be. And that will put that image.
How did you get that blue to be there? Mine's just gray. Okay. Did you select that somewhere else?
Yeah. So to change the color of your background, go over to themes. I'm in impression right now. Click the little paint can on the far right and then pick your color. So I'm going to change it to pink. So you can see how now that navigation is now a pink versus the blue.
Okay. That's what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a little while to figure that one out. I was like, why is it this weird color? And then I didn't realize that the paint can disappears too. So if I pick yellow, it shows like my only other color is pink. But if you hover over, you get that paint can to be able to change it to whatever it is you like. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah. It's one of those, I think of Google Sites, it looks really basic, but really it has a lot you can do. And they've added a lot. The image carousel and the layouts, they weren't there when it first started. They've been added. The ability to embed more than just an image in the layouts is newer. It used to be you could only do images in there. So you have a lot of different options. Yeah. I've been using Google Sites for a while, so it is easy for me, but it takes a lot, and I've spent a lot of time on it, to get comfortable. So I'll stay on the last, what do we have together? 10 minutes, play around. If you're good, you may go. I'm going to keep recording. That way, if there's questions, they get answered. But we'll stay on together for the last 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Sure. If you're good, you're good. Have a good one, Lori.
Bye.
Bye.
Lori, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Even though it's not on Google Sites.
That's fine.
when I make like screencasts of myself, like teaching and stuff like that, when I upload them to the Google Classroom, I find that you don't know if they watched it or not. The only platform I found that does that is Edpuzzle, that just added like the end of April, that upload feature. Is there any other platforms that you can upload your screencast and prove that the child watched it?
Edpuzzle's your best bet.
Okay.
If you want to prove that they watched it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I just thought there was maybe something else out there that, could prove that they,
Yeah. I would think that you're going to start seeing that feature on a lot of different other ed tech tools, but I don't know that it's there yet. Edpuzzle has it built into it.
Right. Yeah. Only because, like, if we continue with remote learning, you need proof that they, watched it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's similar to like when we do PD and stuff sometimes, you know how like you watch it, but if you want to open up another window, you can't do that. So I wish there was like a platform that did that for kids too, because then they can't be going to YouTube or doing whatever they want, So.
Yeah. And Edpuzzle will do all of that for you. So, it's a great tool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Laura, you should see the 3 lines at the top left of your screen still. That's where it went to. Yep. Yep. When you go into student view, or if you go to the published view, it will show it in navigation on the left-hand side. Yeah. I'm with you, because I'm thinking for what you teach, this would be a great resource for you. So absolutely.
Hey,
I love it.
I have a question. Can you show me again how to do a link? Because I like to do it with the picture because my kids are younger. So if they see the picture, they're more likely to click on it.
Yeah. So when you grab a website, and you hit embed.
I like the one. Oh, you do embed. I did link.
Yep. Do embed.
Okay. So where did you get embed again? Oh, down the side?
Yep. Right on the side at the top. Click embed.
Okay. Let me try that. Thanks.
And websites will determine whether or not you can embed it certain ways. Like there's certain ones that will only let you put in the words, and you might as well at that point do a button that says "click me," that kind of thing. Others will allow you to embed it in there into the website. That is completely on their end. You don't always have that choice on yours.
Okay. So right now I'm just on the page. So if I put insert and then embed, okay, let me try that.
Yeah. So like I was doing, if I was going to embed this Google site, it's only going to allow me to put it in as words. Others let you put it so you can embed it in, like the Wonderopolis does.
Yeah. So whole page or under preview, and which one is preferable? Whole page?
So whole page locks your students into the Google site. They can't go out to the website, but everything on that Google site or that website is fully clickable. Like it's fully live. If you click on the preview one, it should show a photo. It doesn't always. And then it will have a little text. Think of it more like a button that takes them out to the website.
Okay. Okay, I see it. Yeah, it's huge. I gotta make it smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, it tends to come in big and then you just drag it. Just know that if you're having them do it live, keeping it huge might actually help them a little bit with the navigation, because that's going to be full screen for them. versus half.
Oh, okay. And why are there like privacy issues? I mean, I could see the kids doing it, but my kids wouldn't be making it. It would be me making something to make it manageable for home learning.
Definitely. Yeah.
But
yes, you would build it the way it makes sense for you, with your lessons. And you probably want to open up that it's not just locked to Schuylerville, because you might have some parents that have kids using their devices.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, because that was a huge hurdle at the beginning of home learning, because they didn't send our kids home with iPads.
Yep.
And they didn't even give out everybody's iPad. They had to request. So you had kids on every other device. It was so frustrating for parents in the beginning.
I bet. Yeah, it'd be so much better if they went home with the iPads. The students are used to them. They have all their apps. It's their iPad. They use that one in class every day. So yeah, that would have been a lot easier.
That was, even getting on Google Classroom was like a nightmare for like the first month. So this is different than Google Classroom. Google Classroom, it's more organized, would you say? And this is starting from building your own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you can use the templates. So if I go back out and I go back home, under the plus, there are some templates for you that can help you out to kind of build. But education gives you two, a class and a club. I don't know if that's going to work for what you're looking to do.
I would probably build it like my classroom, and then resources for ELA, and then resources for math, and then other important information.
Yeah.
Like I want something like that's all in one place, where the kids can go to the few websites that we use all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, because then it becomes a click for them versus, always reloading it into Google Classroom. And you could always put a button that links them back into Google Classroom. So that way they can toggle easier. It should still open in the app for them. It should, default to that, even though you put the link in.
Yeah. So this past spring, I had Google Classroom, but I didn't post my assignments in it. I posted everything in Seesaw. The only thing I used Google Classroom for was my Meets, because I'd put the links to the Meets in.
Right.
But I haven't really used Google Classroom very much, so I wasn't really comfortable with it.
Right. Yeah, and third grade is kind of that in between. I've heard some teachers say we use Google Classroom for everything, and then I've heard others say no, they're not ready for it. We do more with Seesaw. So you hear both.
Well, my second grader used it, and I found it a little hard on the iPad, because I think her teacher sent in like things that were meant to be like written on top of, like a worksheet that had some kind of like, you can write on top, but we couldn't edit it very easily.
Right.
So, and we just, I don't know. Like, I didn't have a lot of experience with it. So I felt like we're always like searching for the assignments, and I'm like, did you turn this in? How do I know you turned it in?
So a good way to know what students have to do, if I go into Google Classroom real quick, and we'll kind of end it with this little tidbit. What your students should do when they're in their class, if they click the little hamburger in the top left-hand corner, and they click on to do, it's going to show them their to-do list for all of their classes. And if it's on there, that means they haven't done it.
And it's like that it's automatically when the teacher puts an assignment in?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to check that with her.
Yeah, students can check the calendar, they can read the stream, they can go into classwork, but if they go to that view, it's all in one spot.
All right, I'll do that. Well, thank you, Lori. Thanks for your help. This was a lot to process, but it's good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot to process with this one.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure. Laura, just to answer your question, sometimes websites don't allow you to do it as a live site. That's their security on their end.
All right. When I tried publishing it, it does work. The link works and everything.
Perfect.
it just doesn't look really cool like the one you showed us.
Yeah. And certain ones will, certain ones won't. So that one put in either as a button or a link and just leave it at that.
Okay. So, and then this is, one of those beginner things. So I made a tab and now I want to make another one just like it. Like I tried duplicating it, but I can't remove the Sheg history lesson thing. So I'm sorry. I can show you because I'm not on the same computer.
Right.
So how do I add another banner or button or something?
So click what you want to add on the left. Like, do you want to add it as a text box or you want to do it?
Gotcha. Okay.
And then click and drag it where you'd like it to go.
Okay. I can do that then. All right. And then there's cool. Okay.
All right.
Ruby, I'll have fun playing with this. Thank you.
Have fun. All right.
This is awesome. Bye-bye. Have a good summer.
You too.
I'll probably see